question for you then. Is it coming home?
Oh yes, it's coming home.
And that, of course, then sets up France against England.
December 2022. During the World Cup in Qatar, Harry Kane, the best striker in the Premier League at that time, missed a crucial penalty for the Three Lions. France maintained their one-goal lead and advanced to the semi-finals in a World Cup where England was considered the most attractive team to watch. On July 14, 2024, in the Euro Championship final, Spain faced England, two giant national teams competing for a precious trophy. On paper, both teams had some of the best players in the world. The match ended with a 2-1 score, a heartbreaking result for England supporters as once again, another trophy slipped away. These two, among other historical crucial matches, demonstrate that England lacks something necessary to break a terrible streak that has lasted several decades. Since 1966, England hasn't won anything. For a country that loves football so much and has the most important football league in the world, this is unfortunate, a curse.
I know where the sun sets.
Imagine what it would mean to see men like us lifting. That's the dream.
Football has been deeply connected to class struggles since the 19th century. The series The English Game brilliantly tells the story of a workers' team risking everything to achieve victory in the FA Cup, a shocking event at a time when the English aristocracy dominated the sport. The aristocracy resisted professionalizing football, as this would mean opening it to the working class and eventually internationalizing it, posing a threat to British dominance. FIFA was established in 1904 under French leadership to promote the development of football on a global scale. While 7 European countries signed the founding treaty, England, known for its conservative and elitist stance, did not join the organization until 1905. Tensions persisted for many years, and in 1928, the Football Association, FA, the governing body of football in England, chose to leave FIFA. At the time, English representative Charles Sutcliffe remarked that FIFA was a bad joke, and the UK had nothing to gain from the development of football in France, Germany, or elsewhere. Consequently, England did not participate in its first World Cup until 1950 in Brazil.
Brazil 1950. The England squad are arriving to their first World Cup.
England entered the tournament as the favourite, determined to prove to the world that they were the kings of football. After defeating Chile, the Three Lions faced the United States, an underdog in the competition despite being a new geopolitical leader. England dominated the match with 85% possession and 12 shots in the first 6 minutes, appearing to live up to their status as favourites. However, they failed to score. Just before halftime, the Americans capitalized on their only chance and held on until the end, resulting in a 1-0 final score. England then suffered a defeat against Spain and failed to advance past the group stage. For a country that firmly believed it invented football, this was a total failure. The Three Lions had reached the quarter-finals in 1954 and were dreaming big, but they lost to Uruguay 4-2. Uruguay later placed fourth in the tournament. The English players realized that they were far from being the kings of football, as they had believed. Unfortunately, the nightmare didn't stop there.
Would all who are able please stand for our minute's silence?
8 years later, in February 1958, an airspeed ambassador plane crashed during takeoff at Munich Airport. Among the 20 out of 40 passengers who died were 8 Manchester United players, including 3 English internationals. Duncan Edwards, a 21-year-old with immense potential, Tommy Taylor, who scored 16 goals in his first 19 matches, and Roger Burnt, United's captain. The entire country mourned them in one of the biggest tragedies in football history.
Playing for England at that particular time was not the way I intended to play for England. I intended to play for England, hopefully one day, with Duncan Edwards and Roger Burnt and Tommy Taylor. Unfortunately, it couldn't be.
By 1962, England showed promise by reaching the quarter-finals in the World Cup before being eliminated by Brazil. This performance set the stage for their future success and indicated the team's potential. It was a pivotal moment that highlighted the need for further development and preparation as they looked forward to hosting the World Cup 4 years later. In 1966, 4 months before the World Cup, the Jules Rimet Trophy was stolen in London during an exhibition at Westminster Central Hall, causing a national scandal. The trophy was discovered a week later by a dog named Pickles, who found it wrapped in newspaper in a garden hedge. This bizarre incident underscored the pressure on the English national team to succeed. England finally hosted the World Cup and outclassed other teams thanks to their excellent physical condition rather than technical skill. Half of their goals came in the last quarter hour of games, demonstrating their endurance. In the final against West Germany, the Three Lions showcased their determination. In the 101st minute, with the score tied, Geoff Hurst's shot hit the bar and bounced on the goal line. Hurst completed his hat-trick 10 minutes later, securing victory. Alfred Ramsey's men received the first trophy in English football history, presented by Queen Elizabeth. And additionally, Pickles the dog became a national hero for his role in recovering the stolen trophy. After finishing third at Euro 1968, the Three Lions experienced a long drought until 1990 without reaching any Euro or World Cup semi-finals across 11 editions and almost as many sporting failures. There were also completely absurd scandals. In May 1970, while preparing for the World Cup in Mexico, Bobby Charlton and Bobby Moore went into a souvenir shop in Colombia. They left without buying anything, but a shop assistant accused Moore of stealing an expensive bracelet and called the authorities. Moore's innocence was proven several times, but this incident disrupted England's preparation. Bobby was held in custody for 5 days and joined his teammates at the last moment. However, he never fully recovered from this strange and distressing accusation.
It was your hand or the hand of God?
Cheers, for me, man.
16 years later, another much more famous injustice struck the English team. Maradona's hand goal is notorious because it was scored against England during a time of heightened tensions between Latin American countries and England. The Falklands War between Argentina and the United Kingdom in 1982 significantly strained relations between Latin America and Britain, particularly in Argentina, and fueled anti-British sentiments across the region. Just like the human tragedies, sporting failures multiplied.
Bobby, we are live now. Your reaction, you're out of the World Cup. Well, we've been so near yet so far in football. Look, the players have done all they could do. You know, one's a dubious goal, one is a miracle.
Well, some of the crowd are on the pitch.
By 1986, after being eliminated by Argentina, English football needed a revolution more than ever. Since their triumph in 1966, England had their best World Cup performance in 1990, symbolised by Paul Gascoigne, as wild as he was talented. The Spurs' attacking midfielder brought passion to a team that had become endearing.
He won't be shaken off. Oh dear me. He's going to be out of the final if England get there.
In the semi-final against Germany, Gascoigne received a yellow card, preventing him from playing in a potential final against Argentina. Heartbroken, he couldn't contain his emotions. England was defeated after a cruel penalty shootout. However, despite the elimination, there was hope for the great return of English football. In 1992, the English League became the Premier League. This change came about because the big clubs no longer wanted to share TV rights with the smaller ones and wanted to make football a profitable business. This was similar to the recent European Super League project, which was criticized for its commercial approach. However, the Premier League created a competitive environment among the biggest clubs in the country, both economically and sportively, with the national team in their sights.
positive on
It's
that.
coming home, it's coming home, it's coming, football's coming.
In 1996, England hosted the Euro with the whole country supporting them. The team, led by Gascoigne and Shearer, wanted to redeem themselves after 2 consecutive failures in 1992 and 1994. In a tough group, the Three Lions beat the Netherlands 4-1, and a 0-0 draw against Spain led to a victory in a penalty shootout. Terry Venables' men reached the semi-finals against Germany in a thrilling atmosphere at Wembley.
And welcome to Wembley.
England scored in the 3rd minute, but Germany equalised a quarter of an hour later, and the score remained the same. Like in 1990, England lost on penalties to the same opponent. 2 years later, during the World Cup in France, the Three Lions were again eliminated in a penalty shootout. This was the 3rd time in 8 years, highlighting a new curse. Meanwhile, a particularly promising generation was emerging at the beginning of the 2000s. David Beckham was the leader of this new era of English football. Against Greece in the 2002 World Cup qualifiers, with Michael Owen absent, while Gerrard and Scholes having a bad day, the Three Lions were losing 2-1 in the 93rd minute and facing the possibility of difficult playoffs. It was the moment David chose to overcome the Greek tragedy. A few months later, England lost in the quarter-finals of the World Cup to Brazil, the eventual tournament winner. As Euro 2004 and the 2006 World Cup, Sven-Göran Eriksson's men again failed to reach the semi-finals. The common point between these 2 campaigns was a defeat in a penalty shootout against Portugal, but more importantly, the bitter feeling of having wasted the potential of an extraordinary team.
And England are out of the European Championships.
When England failed to qualify for Euro 2008 in November 2007, this bitterness reached its peak. Beckham, Gerrard, Rooney, Lampard, Terry, Scholes, Ferdinand, and many other legends failed to win for their country. Between 2000 and 2016, England did not get past any quarterfinals. To explain these disappointments, many blame the exhausting intensity of the Premier League, a league that does not export its players enough. As a result, the English team is often worn out during international summer tournaments. For example, in 2005-2006 season, Rooney played 36 out of 38 Premier League matches with United and arrived completely exhausted at the World Cup, both physically and mentally. The 21-year-old star cracked. Of course, there are other reasons for this series of failures, such as club rivalries extending to the national team, a cautious coach, and players of great quality who were not complementary. A striking example is Paul Scholes, an undeniable Premier League legend who announced his international retirement at 29, just after Euro 2004. He cited his position being too wide on the field, which did not allow him to make the best use of his skills. In the summer of 2016, England began a new era in pain. Hopes were pinned on the young stars, Harry Kane, Walker, Lallana and Sterling. However, in the round of 16 against Iceland, the talent and experience of Wayne Rooney were not enough. Roy Hodgson's men lost to the tournament's underdog, a country of 300,000 inhabitants playing in its first European Championship. After this defeat, the future looked bleak for the English team. However, since this failure, England is the only European nation to have reached the quarter-finals of both the 2018 and 2022 World Cups and the finals of Euro 2021 and 2024. In the Euro 2021 final, England scored early, but Italy equalised in the second half. Despite controlling only 1/3 of the possession, England forced the match into a penalty shootout. However, penalties have never been England's strong suit, and Italy emerged as the European champions. Its coming home turned into its coming Rome. In July 2024, England reached the Euro final once again, facing Spain. Despite high hopes and the belief that the trophy was finally coming home, England lost 2-1, leaving fans disappointed yet again.
getting to finals and quarterfinals and semi-finals regularly in international football. That is success.
Now, it's undeniable that England has never been stronger on paper, with players like Foden, Cole Palmer and Bellingham, not to mention the club's academies that produce talented players each year, polished by the Premier League's competitiveness. The English team should maintain the same dynamic performance as in recent years, and if they do, it's not impossible to imagine them lifting their next trophy, which has been patiently awaited by the English for more than half a century.
These